For some people, like, Goldman was great. For me, it was not great. On the outside, everything looked amazing. On the inside, I felt horrible. I genuinely did. I genuinely felt horrible. I felt like I had made this dream for my life, or this goal. And once I had achieved it, it was kind of like, is this all there is to life? The experience itself was incredible in the sense that I feel like I grew so much. But at the same time, it was hard. This is the story of why I quit Goldman Sachs, and I'm gonna share it with you today because maybe, like me, you felt trapped before and you felt like things look so good on the outside, but on the inside, you really don't feel so good. So let me take you back to the beginning. I first want to talk about how I even got to Goldman. I had started college in Montreal, Canada at McGill University, and I was studying chemistry. And I wanted to do environmental science. I wanted to save the penguins. Like, I just thought that that's what I was going to do. I quickly realized that that was not for me. As much as I love pH levels, I just don't belong in a lab. So I transferred into a business school. Once I was there, I applied for a consulting workshop. I thought I was gonna work at like BCG or McKinsey or something like that. Then as part of this consulting workshop, we do this trip. We go to every single consulting group in Chicago. And after visiting 21 or so big firms, I just realized it was not for me. I just knew I had to pivot. So this was my sophomore year of college. I then reached out to someone I knew, and they put me in touch with someone at Goldman. I studied chemistry, so I didn't know anything about finance, like literally nothing. Barely knew what the S&P 500 was. And it was for private wealth management. I just realized that this is a good fit for me. It was working with clients one-on-one, working with families, which I love. It was kind of like my Hail Mary, I would say. I didn't really have any other offers or anything coming through at the time. And then eventually I just kept getting passed around, like talking to people, getting to know what private wealth even is. After a while, I got invited to the office, so I met everyone. It was great. This was like sophomore year of college. I was just exploring, like just figuring out what I wanted to do now. I got the interviews. They ended up offering me the internship, which was amazing. So I interned in the Florida offices. It was during COVID, so it was very interesting. We were working from home as interns, which is not the ideal intern experience. Still, it was so much fun. Like, I really felt like I was being challenged. At the same time, I knew that I wanted to be in New York. My dream as like a middle school 13-year-old girl who had visited New York for the first time, I still had that dream alive. Because we were remote, I would just set up coffee chats with people, like in New York, all day. I was working, doing my work, and then whenever I had a free moment, I had like a 15-minute coffee chat with someone in New York. Finally, I got the interview for New York, which is also a hilarious story. I had to take my car to be serviced at Toyota. So I go to Toyota and I took my Goldman New York interview for the full-time position in the Toyota parking lot, basically. There was a fire station right next door. I had to keep muting myself to make sure that they couldn't hear these fire trucks going on behind me. About a week later, I got offered both Florida and New York full-time positions. I also tried for investment banking. That was something that I was curious about. I'm really happy I didn't do that. That is definitely not my personality. So I accepted the full-time role in New York. And I was so excited. I'm like, let's go, like my life is made. I felt really like I had achieved something because I worked hard for it. The first day was actually virtual, and then from then on we were training in the headquarters down in FIDI. We take these 3 exams over like a month or so, like qualifying exams basically to be able to trade. And then after we do that, we get placed on our teams. And we didn't really get a say in what team we got placed on. And my team was a huge team. They were one of the biggest in the country. They were so streamlined, had like amazing processes for everything. It was really there though that I realized that this wasn't the environment for me. Like, as much as my experience in Florida was very fun and everyone was very family oriented and very chill, I would say, New York is not chill. But for some reason I didn't clock that. I didn't realize how unchill it really is. It was a really competitive, cutthroat environment. I remember at one point I made a list of everything that I didn't like in life. Like, I hate shopping, I hate spending money, I hate drinking, I hate going out every weekend. I don't like not being able to see the clouds or the stars. Like, to me, that's important. And then I realized that, oh my goodness, I love nature. I love looking at the stars at night. I love the beach. I love people. Like, I love all these things. I love driving. And these things weren't really what New York was. That's when I realized that, like, this dream I had as a 13-year-old, I was not the same person anymore. I had to actually let my life catch up to me. I ended up staying 2 years at Goldman because I felt like I needed to give it a try. I didn't want to just give up after a year. So I ended up switching teams at work, which also is not normal. I really loved my job. Like, I loved what I was doing. I was learning so much about building wealth, and so much of it I applied to my own life. And on the other hand, I did want approval from my family and my friends. And that was something that I had to kind of come to grips with, because I didn't think that I was kind of like that. But then I realized that this was comfortable for me because my parents were happy that I was working at Goldman and making money, and they didn't have to worry about me. But then it got to the point where I kind of needed to worry about me. And I needed to ask myself, is this okay? And I remember I had a friend who visited, and we had dinner. We were friends from college, and he looked at me and he's like, I'm really worried about you. Like, you look unwell. So that really shocked me. And it was like he was holding a mirror up to me to make me realize that, oh my goodness, I looked unhealthy. I even felt like, to the office towards the end, I just was dressing like more boyish. I didn't even care to like look cute, and that's not really me. I really like to look nice. And apart from like wanting my parents' approval and my friends, like wanting people to like me essentially, and acceptance, I also thought that changing things externally would solve my problems. When I switched teams, I thought that that would get rid of like 99% of the problems I was having, and it didn't. It maybe got rid of 2% of it, which just drove me to go deeper within to realize, what is it that I'm really after and what is it that I really want? The truth is, honestly, after this whole experience, like, what I've learned is that the external will never fulfill you. No title, no amount of money, none of it will ever solve what's happening inside. And I don't think I was appreciating who I was. And I really am this like sensitive, loving person who genuinely wants the best for people. Everything changed when 3 things happened. I had just switched teams, so I was on a new team now, was learning totally new systems, new processes, everything. And at the same time, in that same week or two, my boyfriend and I at the time had broken up. The third thing was that my grandma passed away. She was my last living grandparent. And that's when I really realized that my life needed to change, because I remember sitting on the flight to her funeral and just thinking about, like, what is my legacy on this earth? I'm gonna go one day too. Like, one day my time will end, and I'm not quite sure that right now I'm doing something that aligns with who I am. I then started to come up with a plan. I was like, okay, I can't just quit tomorrow because, well, I'm not in the financial situation to do so. And I kind of have to think about what would be my next move. And at the same time, I was feeling a lot of pressure from what other people were telling me about, well, you know, Goldman's your jumping off place. Like, you have to do something so much more great and bigger and all these different things. And I'm like, but that's their definition of big and great. What is my definition of greatness? This is what I went on the journey of discovering over the past few years. I can honestly say that I've never felt better. I feel so good inside that now I feel like everything in my life is just coming together and I'm not having to force anything. This really for me was my shift from like victim consciousness to like owning my life and really owning who I am and owning my freedom. And I felt like I was like climbing this mountain, which was great, but it wasn't the mountain that I knew I wanted to climb, and like my soul was kind of longing for something deeper and something more. I just felt like I need to know what my life even is now, because my life has gotten so out of control in the wrong direction that I feel it's wrong, that I need to recenter and really get back to who I am and what I really want to do on this earth. And that was when I decided that like I have no more plans. Like, all of my plans are canceled. My whole life is going to be waking up, going to work, coming home, and figuring out my life. I am not going out on the weekends. Like, I just restricted everything because for me that worked, and I canceled everything. I'm like, the only thing I'm doing is I'm going to like read about life. I'm going to read about helping myself. I would like sit on my bed and just breathe. I would literally sit there. I'd never done stuff like this before. And I would just sit there and just be like, how do I feel inside? Like, how does this really feel right now? Am I okay? Like, I'm not sure that I've ever checked in that I'm okay. And I would probably end up crying. And then I would journal, and then I would let things go, and then I would read books. In January, we had received our bonus, and after I'd done my investing and my savings, I had a little bit left over. And I thought I would treat myself because everyone at the office had like nice bags, and I had never done something like that. So I thought, why not? Let's just try this new experience of life. And I remember I went to Nordstrom to get this wallet, and it was like $700. And as I'm sitting there looking at this wallet, I'm like, I can't buy this. I don't know why, but I can't. And at the same time, I had gotten like an ad online for this personal development event, and the ticket was $695. And I'm like, okay, this can't be a coincidence. Like, I know that in my future, like, I will make more money, so I don't need to worry about $700 now if I invested in myself versus if I buy a bag. I ended up buying the ticket to this event, and that like changed my life forever. There are a lot of truths that came from this experience. I would say the most important thing that I've learned is that the external will never fulfill you. Nothing outside of me will ever make me feel better inside. It just won't. It's just not how life works. Everything is experienced inside here. Even when people frustrate us, or someone frustrates me during the day, it's my choice how I respond. It has nothing to do with them. There is no blame anymore. There's only ownership. This new experience of life has been so amazing. I also felt for me that I had to be like two different people. I felt like I had to be one person in the office, and then I felt like I had to be another person at home. And I really didn't like that experience. I really just felt like who I am is the same person. It was really hard for me to have to go to the office, be one person, and then come home and be someone completely different. So I ended up leaving Goldman and moving to Paris. My ultimate message is that just really take account and take ownership of your internal experience, because ultimately it's almost like we're all walking around blind and we're blaming other people, but the only person to blame is ourselves because we're the ones experiencing all of this all at once. This journey of working at Goldman and having the experience was such a gift. It was hard sometimes, it really was. I was crying in the Ubers on the way home, like at 11 p.m., like almost every night. The most important lesson is just truly learning that it's only our internal experience of life that can fulfill us. The external will never fulfill you. I know that in my life I've achieved, or I've, wanted to achieve certain things, and then when I get these certain things, I think that my life is set and I think my life is made. But to me, it wasn't true. And that's when I had to change my life. If you're watching this, there must be something in your life that you're probably thinking you might need to change too. Give yourself that permission to change it.